Hi, and thanks for taking the time to watch our presentation on psychology of a goalkeeper. This presentation was initially put together for the goalkeepers who attended our goalkeeping residential in 2019 in Durham. It was initially meant as a interactive presentation where we did get a lot of feedback from the goalkeepers that were in attendance. But what we're going to do here is we're going to go through all the slides, and I'll kind of give my thoughts and my opinions on each subject and each topic. So what we're going to be looking at throughout the course of the presentation is mindset, dealing with failures and setbacks, mistake management, goal setting, visualization, confidence, controlling emotions, and performance analysis. So the first thing that we're going to look at is mindset. So having a growth mindset. Are you willing to listen, learn and improve? And how are you going to do that? Are you willing to work hard to achieve your goals? So what you do around your regular training routine. Are you doing extra work either in the gym if you're old enough? Are you working with an S&C coach? Are you doing extra sessions with a specialist goalkeeping coach? How do you learn? And does that learning stop when you walk off the training field? So if you go to games, can you turn up a little bit early to see the goalkeepers warming up during the game? Can you have a look at their start position? Can you see how they communicate and when they communicate? Can you see how they react as play develops? What can you learn from your performance? So looking at areas where you feel you've done well, looking at areas where you feel you could improve, and also looking at areas of concern, whether that is a mistake that you've made or you've encountered something that maybe you haven't encountered before and you didn't really have an answer or solution to that situation. Embracing challenges and difficulty. So everybody has bad days. Whether that's making mistakes in training, whether it's making mistakes in a game, whether it's struggling to pick up a particular technique. We need to really accept that that is part of development, which leads on to the next point, which is accepting that getting better actually takes time. Nothing happens overnight. The professionals that you see playing at the top level now, they've had years and years of developing, making mistakes, trying to improve. They've had years of setbacks. It's their perseverance and their attitude that has got them to the level that we're at today. And also thinking about what you can do to make today a good day, whether that's a training session or whether that's a game. Do you have a plan? Do you have an idea in your head or a picture in your head of what today is going to look like, and can you make that positive? So what we're going to have a look at next is dealing with failure and setbacks. So first part is we need to accept that failure and setbacks are a part of life, whether that's trialing for a grassroots team and not getting in, whether that's going for trials at a pro club and not getting in, whether it's being part of a professional academy and being released. We need to accept that it can't always be plain sailing. So if you do encounter these failures or setbacks, how can you deal with it? So I'd say the best way really is to try and stay calm and control your emotions. Can you think logically? It is very, very easy to take offence to a setback or a rejection. But what you need to do is you need to think about kind of what you've done, how you've performed, and also look at the feedback that you've been given. It's all there to kind of to get you to where you need to be, to either get you into that environment or keep you in that environment next time. and also what you can take from the experience. So obviously getting away from the negativity of having that failure, the setback. What positives can you take from it? What can you do better next time? And how can you make sure that you're successful next time around? Again, if you do experience these failures or setbacks, you've got to think about what your reasons are to keep going. Whether that's love of the game, whether you've got aspirations of being a professional, you've really got to keep on pushing forwards. And then how do you move forward? Can you take on the advice? Can you take on the help? Can you take on extra work in terms of training sessions? How can you improve, and what are you going to do to make sure that you are successful next time? Now moving on to mistake management. So we're going to look at how you respond to making a mistake. So we've all seen it, we've all been there, we've all done it. You make a mistake in a game. Being a goalkeeper, generally it does result in a goal. So what you'll see is goalkeepers walking up the post, kicking the post, hitting the post, getting the ball out the back of the net, kicking it away, straight away, head goes down. We've all done it. But what we need to do is, we need to make sure that we're responding positively to making a mistake, and we need to understand that that cloud that can descend after you've made a mistake, it can lead to more mistakes, it can lead to conceding more goals, and it can lead to a decline in your mindset, whether that's for the duration of the game, whether that's in your next training session, whether it affects the rest of your day. We need to try and get out of that as quickly as possible. So in terms of responding to making mistakes, can you at that very moment in time put it out your head? You need to now have that determination to ensure that you're not going to make any more mistakes, that you aren't going to concede any more goals. Obviously after the game, can you take ownership, or even after making a mistake, after conceding a goal, can you take ownership if you feel that you're at fault? Now that's not to say that anybody can actually fault you for trying, because we all know that the goalkeepers of all ages, you're not making mistakes on purpose. There's nothing being done deliberately there. And I'm sure that people can accept that regardless of how they may react at the time. We've got to try and remain positive. As I mentioned previously, can you ensure that you're not going to make that mistake again? Can you have that determination to not concede another goal, to not make another mistake? And then what we're going to have a look at is, when do you actually review the mistake? So potentially the worst thing that you can do is take your mind off the game. So you aren't going to review that mistake as the game's going. That's going to happen after the game. It's going to happen in the changing room. It could happen at home an hour later. It could happen at home 3 hours later. It could happen the next day. But one thing that is very important is that you do have to actually review your mistakes. You need to understand where it's come from and why it's happened. And then on top of that, you have to come up with a solution on how you're going to put that right, how you're going to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And then obviously you've got to think about how you learn from the mistakes. So whether you work with your team coach to build up a little bit of confidence around that scenario, or whether you work with a specialist coach, or even just mentally, if you replay that scenario in your head. First of all, you see what happened, and then secondly, you can replay it in your head where you end up with a positive outcome, so you can actually start to come up with solutions yourself. Now moving on to goal setting. So quite a generic one. Can you set yourself SMART targets? So can they be specific? So can you define your goals as much as possible and make sure that they are clear? So they have to be clear for you to understand, they have to be clear for others to understand, so you've got that little bit of accountability there, and there's no real way to segue away from your initial goal or your initial target. Can they be measurable? So can your goals be tracked and can they be measured? Are they attainable and achievable? So you've got to make sure that your goals are realistic. Are they relevant? Is the goal relevant to other goals you've set? Will it get you to where you need to be? And timely. So what are your time scales? Are you looking at weekly goals, monthly, quarterly or yearly? And make sure that you do define them, and make sure that your weekly, monthly, quarterly and yearly all feed into each other. This next one's a huge one for me, and it's one that I try to get all my goalkeepers to do, and that's visualization. So, and it's probably one of the most overlooked things that any goalkeeper or any player can actually do away from the training field. So what we need to realise is that visualization can lead to motivation, and by doing that you need to make sure that your mental images are positive. So whether that's seeing yourself distributing the ball effectively, coming out and taking across cleanly, making a save, you've got to make sure that all your mental images are positive. You can't leave any room for a negative or any form of doubt. The way that I do it personally, I try to view varying situations as myself and also as an observer from the sideline. So this is something that I want you to do at home just while you're listening. I'm not going to give you an actual scenario, but I want you to picture your own scenario. Whether you're an outfield player, whether you're a goalkeeper, I want you to picture yourself doing something positive or completing a task with a positive outcome. So what you're going to do is you're just going to close your eyes and you are going to have a look at that scenario in your head. First of all, what you're going to do is you're going to see it as if you are completing that task or that movement or that action. So you should be seeing yourself doing something positive now. So a couple of examples from myself are catching a high cross and distributing the ball effectively to start a counter attack. If you're an outfield player, it could be you're an attacker, you've shifted the ball and you've got a shot off on target and you've scored a goal. If you're a defender, are you challenging a tricky winger? Are you preventing an attack? So what I want you to do again, close your eyes, and now you're watching yourself do it. So you're a spectator, you're on the sideline, you can see everything around you, you can see what you're doing, and you can see that scenario. So what we should be looking at now is how did that feel for you as a person. First of all, being the person completing the action, what we should be thinking about is, can we get a feeling for what certain body parts are doing? What is your body doing, and are you getting those feelings of you completing that action? And then secondly, obviously from an observer's point of view or from a spectator's point of view, how did it look? So I would hope by the end of that little exercise, maybe 2 minutes, you do feel a little bit more positive about a particular aspect of your game. And it's certainly something that shouldn't be overlooked in future either. So visualizing positive outcomes when you are driving to the game, or when you're in the car obviously being driven. If you're a younger player, if you're sitting at home, if you are in the changing rooms, if you're walking out on the pitch. Can we make sure that any mental images are positive ones? Now we're on to confidence. Again, a very big thing for me, as I feel there is a very, very thin line between confidence and arrogance, and crossing over that line can sometimes be detrimental to performance. So we need to stay on the side of confidence and being quietly confident in our own ability. So to the first point, believing in your own ability, knowing that you are able and knowing that you're capable of being successful in whatever you're doing. Body language, can we draw confidence from how we stand? So on the field, what things that we want to avoid is hunched back, head down, arms hanging. We want to be thinking about shoulders back, chest up, chin up, hands ready. We need to be displaying confidence in how we stand. And going back to the fine line between the confidence and the arrogance, let your ability do the talking on the field. Don't tell people how good you are. Go and show them. So also, what can you do to boost confidence? So for young goalkeepers, or goalkeepers in the professional game as well, that could come from a warm-up. You could have a set warm-up routine that you go through every single game. So you're starting to see little pictures. You're getting lots of confidence from catching the ball, getting a feel from the for the ball, seeing certain things as you're warming up. Just make sure that you're doing the same things over and over again, so you have your routine. Again, going back to visualization. Again, visualization can boost your confidence. So make sure that leading up to games and during games, you're continuing to boost confidence and you're not letting that confidence or your confidence levels drop. And also, again, going back to the warm-ups, make sure that you're mentally and physically prepared. Warm-ups can be hugely advantageous or detrimental to performance. And I'll use an example that I've seen a number of years back now. While I was coaching, I noticed there was a game going on not far from where I was coaching, and in between sets, in between different exercises, I was watching how the team warmed up, or one team in particular, and what I noticed was the coach had all the lads lined up outside the box. They would play the ball into him, he would lay it off, and the kids were shooting first time. What I noticed was the goalkeeper, through no fault of his own, he had conceded a lot more than he had saved, which, in terms of confidence, being a goalkeeper, you don't want to see that ball hitting the back of the net too many times. So anyway, leading into the game, what's happened is 5 minutes in, I think the team were 2-0 down. By about 15 minutes, it was 4 or 5. So in the game alone, the goalkeeper's conceded 4 or 5 goals in 15 minutes, but prior to the game starting, he had conceded a lot more. So my thoughts behind witnessing that were, how has that warm-up helped their goalkeeper prepare mentally for the game and also physically? So without any form of proper warm-up, he's been thrown straight into the goal, and it's been like a game of cannonball. Before he's even had a chance to reset, the next ball's past him, which I believe has knocked his confidence massively and hasn't really set him up to be successful in that game. Now we're moving on to controlling emotions. Again, along with visualization, I find this can either help you or it can be a detriment to your performance, and how you control your emotions. So if you're able to control those thoughts and feelings before the game, I believe that you will act more positively. You will feel more positive going into games and going into training. If you're unable to control your emotions, it can lead to mistakes, and it can be at a detriment to your own performance. So we've all been there before the game. You're sitting in the changing room, you're waiting for the whistle to blow, and your heart's beating out your chest. Could be nerves, could be a little bit of anxiety, but we need to be able to control that. So can you use breathing techniques to regulate your heart rate? So your standard one, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, but taking a long time on your inhale and your exhale. Really trying to bring your heart rate down. Because if we don't, it can lead to rash decisions. Listen to music that gets you in the right frame of mind. So things that you would probably want to avoid in terms of our first point is any music with a high BPM. So try listening to something that's maybe a little bit more mellow, just to ensure that you're regulating your heart rate and you're able to think clearly. Then we're moving into challenging any negative thoughts. So again, visualization, confidence, see positive images, think positive thoughts. Again, any kind of negatives can lead to indecision during the game. It can add doubt to anything that you may be doing. Try and also relax your body to relieve any tension. So don't sit there tensing. Shake your arms, shake your legs, roll your head so you're stretching your neck out. Stand up. Don't hunch. Just make sure that you're not in any kind of unnatural positions, and make sure that you do feel relaxed and you are ready to go. See your next game or your training session as a challenge and not a threat. So don't be afraid going into anything. Everything is there to challenge you. Make sure that you're ready for it. And again, talking about visualization, use positive imagery to control your emotions. So now we're going into the last slide on performance analysis. So what we should be thinking first of all is, do you analyse your performance? And how do you analyse your performance? So I'd say it's vital that everybody, regardless of age, level or experience, does analyse the performance. And I would use it in more of a written form as opposed to storing it mentally. So then at least you've got those thoughts and feelings on paper that you can refer back to. So in terms of how I would analyse performance, I personally ask my goalkeepers to have 3 different sections. So it would be 3 things that you've done well, 2 things that you want to improve on, and then you've got 1 area for concern. I would always try and overload the positive, make them think about what they've done well, because we do know that negative thoughts can cloud the brain a little bit. So get the goalkeeper, if you're working with a young goalkeeper, to really think about what they've done well. Try to make sure that they're not being weighed down by negative thoughts. And when do you analyse your performance? So I would wait until well after the game. You take away any kind of emotion from any performance, whether that's, as I've mentioned earlier, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It might be the day after. But make sure that you're analysing it with clear thoughts, and your thoughts aren't clouded by maybe a mistake or a defeat, or conceding a certain number of goals. Which leads on to the next bit, which is making sure that you're well, knowing what your analysis is. Is it objective or is it subjective, and do you know the difference? So you've got subjective, which is it's based or influenced on personal feelings, which is something that you probably want to avoid to a degree. Then you've also got objective, which isn't influenced by personal feelings. So you're probably looking at things a little bit more logically, with a little bit more of a clear head. And then finally, as I've mentioned earlier again, can your positives outweigh your negatives? And do you know why your analysis needs to be more heavily weighted towards a positive? Because that's obviously something for you to think about at home, and something for you to talk about with the goalkeepers that you work with, and something that you can talk about with your child if they are a goalkeeper. So I did use this as an opportunity for questions in the room, and we also recorded this live on Facebook, so there were a couple of questions that came in via Facebook as well. But what I'll do is I'll leave this open to the Facebook community. If you do have any questions on anything that I've presented below, or throughout the duration of the presentation, please feel free to comment below, ask questions, give me your thoughts, give me your opinions, and let's try and create a little bit of discussion around this presentation. Finally, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. It's just gone 27 minutes there. I do appreciate you watching all the way through, and I do hope to be doing some of these again in the very near future. Thank you.